I call it like Grand Central Station here sometimes. So I'm like, I'm convinced I could meditate in Grand Central Station.
Right?
Well,
No
that's the whole
problem.
thing.
Yeah.
Because one thing is to do it in an ashram or in a meditation center or in a very quiet and peaceful place. But how many times in our lives do we have that every day?
Welcome everyone to Recode It. We're talking about meditation today. I feel like this is going to be kind of an introduction for people to meditation and not be afraid of it. And some people listening may have never meditated and say, "Oh, I can't meditate," and others might be like pros, avid daily meditators. Meditators, is that the right word? But
Yeah.
okay. And of course, I'm going to hand this over to Hannah. This is her expertise, and I'm excited for Stacia and I to add our input into our experience with meditating. Thanks to Hannah.
Well, I've had a journey with meditation. I've ever since I was little, I used to sit in and my gosh, I remember when I was around 11 years old, I got a hold of a bunch of votive candles. But my house was carpeted. In those days, carpet was like the thing, right?
Mhm.
Carpet top to bottom, right? And so my room had wall-to-wall carpeting, and I would just make a circle of candles and sit in the middle and light them up. And one day my mom walked in on me, and she was horrified that I could set the house on fire, at 11. And that was the end of my foray into meditation when I was 11. I don't know where I got it from to light all those candles and sit inside the circle. And,
Yeah.
well, my invisible friend was Jesus when I was 3.5. So,
Oh my gosh, Hannah.
so I've been in there. It's
tracks.
like I say, like Lady Gaga, I was born this way, right?
Mhm.
But when I first got married, a friend invited me to the Brahma Kumaris Center in Miami. Now, the Brahma Kumaris is a global organization, and it's a wonderful place to learn to meditate. And I started going every morning at 6 in the morning. I'd get up and I'd go to meditation. The thing with them is that, first of all, they adored this Baba Ji, or this Baba man that they called Baba, like father. And I would see this picture of this man, and I could not relate to adoring a human being. I've just never been that kind of person. But I loved the lady who led the center, Veronica, and I loved her teachings. And that's where I learned a lot about, the golden age that we're being ushered into, and a lot of the darkness that we've gone through. So they explained a lot of what was happening there. But the meditating part was incredibly challenging for me. We had to sit there with eyes half open, like this, like squinting, but they wouldn't let you close your eyes. And you'd have to just look at this image of these rays and just like kind of stare into it. And I would hear amazing stories about people getting downloads of songs. There was this woman who had a group in England called Bliss, and she attributed a lot of her songwriting, and I love her songs, and she attributed a lot of her writing and a lot of her music from downloads that she got while meditating in retreat with the Brahma Kumaris Center. And so I went to watch her in concert. The Brahma Kumaris Center brought her to Miami, and I was like, I want that. I want that, like, otherworldly experience where I'm going to get downloads of information, and I want to hear lyrics, and I want to hear songs, and it's like, it was such a lifelong quest to be able to feel what she was expressing that she was feeling, and nothing. And I stuck it out for years. I've tried every kind of meditation, eyes open, eyes closed, focusing on the tip of the nose, focusing on a mantra, getting your own particular pinprint of your own mantra of when you were born. And, TM, transcendental meditation, just nothing worked. And I think part of the reason why it wasn't working for me is because I was under the impression that I had to stop thinking, like many people do, right? Finally, about, I don't know, about 15 years ago, I started going to this man who my cousin introduced me to, who was channeling this extraterrestrial being and named Orky. And I started attending his meditations. Now, the people of his group took this thing extremely seriously. And you couldn't move. You had to sit there for an hour and a half and not move. If you moved, surely someone would feel you, especially your neighbors. And you could get smacked. Like they would hit you. Like to stop moving, to stop you from moving, and they'd smack you around. And it was like very violent. So for me, it was very contradictory to what they were saying, peace, love, and then all of a sudden they're hitting you in the shoulder or wherever they catch you because they get mad because you moved a little or you scratched or something. And it was like a military thing. I remember the first time I was there, I remember just being there with my eyes closed and just in my head seeing myself screaming with my arms up in the air, going like, you're like running away, but like with my arms up in the air. And that was my image of me in my mind, right? Trying to escape this thing. And I made myself sit through these meditations. And it wasn't until a year and a half later of going to these meditations 2 and 3 times a week. It was 1 week, 2 days, 1 week, 3 days a week. And one of the twice a week, it was in Columbia University, near Columbia in New York City, at this theological seminary center, whatever. So we'd have to go to that room. So I'd be going there. And then I moved to the building across the street from where this guy lived, where my meditation was. And I would just go across the street and go to meditation. It was wonderful. So it just happened to become part of my life. It was part of my practice, and I started doing it every day on my own, but nothing would happen. I had no feelings of bliss, no downloads, nothing. But I was so determined to finally find something that would work. And I had made a commitment that I would be there until something happened. A year and a half later, something did. I felt my first going down deep. Like really, I felt it was like clunk, like a click. And I started feeling these feelings of bliss. And I was like, I have it. I'm there. So I continued with the practice. Simultaneously, I was teaching speed reading, learning about how the brain works, how the mind-body monitoring system happened, and everything. And because of that, which I am so grateful for speed reading, I'm so grateful for everything that it brought into my life. I was able to understand what was happening in meditation and why the strictness and why everything. And it made it a lot more palatable. And I was able to sit still for an hour and a half without even moving or desiring to move, which is a big deal when you start becoming a master of your body. Because if you start paying attention to all the movements that you do that are unnecessary throughout your day, you'll be surprised. The hair thing that we got going, right? Get my hair correct. Let me get it out of my face. Let me move it behind my ears. It's bothering me. Oh my gosh, my nose is itching.
Now I'm itchy.
Right? And it's like this, that, everything. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
so much wasted energy. And I started to understand, because they never told me to stop thinking there. They said, watch your thoughts, let them pass. And they weren't very clear. There were very few instructions. They just made us sit, and God forbid we moved because we'd get smacked by someone. Like Noelle, my daughter, stopped going because one lady during a retreat hit her so hard, and she didn't tell me. And after, I was like, you should have told me. I would have beat her up. I would have, and Noelle would get so nervous because I was like, I would have beaten her up. And I was like, yeah, but isn't the point of meditation to become more peaceful? And I'm like, not if somebody's gonna hit my daughter.
Yeah.
That's out of bounds, right? It's like, if she hits me, I'll deal with it. But if she hits my daughter, then there's gonna be hell to pay, right? And I didn't care about the peace and the, peace and love, because
out the window.
My thing, like I said, in human design is anger, right? So if I feel that I've been wronged, I get angry. And I was like, how dare she touch my daughter? And it was so uncalled for, because it's not like you're moving. So we were moving very slowly to, get the scratch off or get the whatever. And it's just to observe your body. And when you stop moving that much and you start realizing how many unnecessary movements you have, and how when we get into an uncomfortable situation, your body's going to want to move. Your body's not going to want to sit there and stay. Your body's not going to want to be dominated by the mind. And so it takes work.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start to understand the logic of what our bodies need, our brains need, the logic of the physiological part of meditation, and you give it to your brain goes, oh, I get it. I understand. And it changes everything, because all the brain is asking for, and I love our minds. I love our brains. Some people are like, a mind, you should tell the mind to stay out of everything. It's like, no, we have minds for a reason, and they are wonderful instruments. When you guide them in an intentional, methodical direction, they are the portal to accessing anything in our lives, because it's our brains and our thoughts that are creating our reality at every moment. So how can we diminish the importance of our minds, right? And our brains? And it's like, oh my gosh, people who do that, I'm just like, I feel bad for them, because it's like, you really haven't got it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it is and that's when I understood throughout this process I understood and came out with the concept of what ascension means to me. When we're in alignment, our minds, our bodies, our spirit, in a unit, cohesive unit, working in unison, where my feelings match my thoughts, match my words, match my actions, and everything is in line. I'm not thinking one thing, feeling another, saying another. Don't you find that sometimes we're so fragmented, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you might be feeling terrible about a person and you're smiling at them. Hi, so good to see you. And inside you're like churning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying to be rude. I'm not saying, I'm just saying we have to be in alignment. And when we do the judgment diet, when we do all the work, then you won't have those feelings, because you'll see things from a different perspective. So when I came up with this system for meditation for myself, I was like, okay, now I understand at a mental level, and I can give my mind a holiday.
Mhm.
and let it rest while I'm doing this work. And then energize it with my insights. And then I'm going to go create, right?
Yeah.
But when I never thought I'd be showing and teaching people how to do this, never in a million years thought this would be a thing. I during the pandemic, I got in my meditation. I was ready to launch my warrior program.
Yeah.
And I got in my meditation, show them what you know. And I was like, what do you mean? And when I've had my downloads with spirit are a challenge for me still, because there are very few words. Like, they won't even speak to me in full sentences. Show them what you know. That's my message. I have to go figure. You know, when my ex-husband had been cheating, it was, he's giving her jewelry.
Right.
Who's giving who jewelry? What? I didn't even know he was cheating. And that was the message. He's giving her jewelry. Okay, thank you. Took me 12 hours to start finding the first clue that unraveled everything. This one was show them what you know. And I'm like, oh no, here we go again. And I listened and I dropped the warrior program. I said, well, it's not time for this program now. I'm supposed to teach people what I know. I don't know what's coming. But remember, I said, something's coming. I don't know what it is, but we need to be ready. And this is going to help us. How clueless I was. But I knew it was going to help us. And now you guys can share what your experience with it was.
Yeah, and I just want to say on that, like I loved hearing I've heard it before, but I love hearing how your meditation journey, like how it led you to teaching it. And I just think not too many people most people would mimic the experience that they were taught, right? So they'd be like, oh, okay, well, you're supposed to hit people if they move. That's what I got to do if I'm going to teach this. But I love that you found like, okay, no, because it's just who you are. You're like determined to find your path and the way things work for you. You actually found a way that worked and a way to teach it so that other people could do it too. And thank God for you. And I remember when we met, we were in a mastermind together, and it had nothing to do with meditation. We were peers in a mastermind. And I fully believe that we connected there for a reason. It was for this, it was for meditating, it was for everything, right? And I learned so many lessons from you. I was nervous. Because I knew you, I was like, okay, there's something about Hannah that, like, I just felt like she's going to be able to lead me through this. And you know what? I'll try out the one session, see how it goes, because your sessions weren't too long. I can't remember how long they start out, but it wasn't like you're in it for a year or something. It was like, okay, like let's start you out. It's like a beginner
But yeah, it was a month.
A month, right? It was like, okay, I can do a month.
No, it was 21 days.
21 days. 21 days. Yeah. And I remember it was quite a big group too. And I was like, okay, oh my God. The minute the first time I sat down to meditate, I like was expecting I got to be in like the silence and again, I can't move, can't do all these things. And you took like every little, and I know I've said this before, but you took any stress away about it. You took all those things you talked about. You can't move. You have to clear your brain completely. You have to sit there for an hour and a half. Like you took all of that away and you simplified it. And because of that, then I was actually able to meditate faster. And, you know, you talked about it took a year and a half for you to get to that place. I was like smiling because I was like, wait, what? I'm pretty sure we did that like the first round. Like most of us made it there. And it's because of the way that you taught it. And for anybody that's listening, believe me, I was that person who always said, oh, I can't meditate. I can't just sit there. If I can meditate, I feel like anybody in the world can meditate, and the way Hannah does it. So I can't rave about
you. Everybody meditated that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
most of
positive
you,
there was
most of
people who
you
were like the first
meditated
day.
that day
Yeah.
on the first day.
Mm-hmm. And
Everybody was like, what?
yeah, and I just want to add, because I don't have a lot to say to dive into for like my business segment today, except to say that when you intentionally do something like this, like a meditation program, 21 days, yeah, the first time, fast forward 2 years later, we're doing 21-day sessions. And I have a section in my phone from that 21-day experience that we had together where I kept a list of everything that happened. It unfolded so much magic. It blossomed my creativity in my business. I had so much success unfold from that and just so much fulfillment, not just like financial success in my business, but fulfillment. Like, this feels aligned. This feels exciting. I can't wait to do this. And it was a big part thanks to also taking the time to just like, okay, let's meditate. It's not all, boss mode. It's like, okay, this is where the creativity sinks in. So I just wanted to add that for my segment. Station.
That's
I
wonderful.
love that. I had some experience with meditating, but when I was doing my yoga teacher training, we started getting back into it because that was one of the branches that we had to study, and I did it really well, too well, because I also dabble in mediumship now, and I didn't realize what was happening at that time. So I just was like, okay, shutting this back down again. But then I decided to, dip my toes in the water, and everything just started unfolding. And that's really ultimately how you ladies came into my life. It's like I just allowed myself to just let life, guide me in the direction that I should be going. And I ended up in your meditation course, and it was truly wonderful. And then I started realizing that I'd been meditating much longer than I even realized, because I would sit in nature, I love the elements. I didn't understand that that's a type of meditation. So yeah, my kids are fighting in the background. They're so sweet. And that was another thing. All of the obstacles that we encountered, we learned how to overcome them or just make them non-existent. And that to me was just mind-blowing. Like, I can sit here with myself, get all of this incredible information, and everything's going to crazy. Remember one day we
the
had
lawnmower.
The city. Remember the city came and took they literally cut a chunk of concrete out of my road in front of my bedroom, and I was like, well, there's a lot going on here, but it was really good.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Like, that's interesting that they chose right now when I'm meditating to come and take a chunk of the street away.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but remember,
it was like
it happened for a long time. It kept happening. It kept happening. It kept happening.
Little things,
and
yes.
You were like and then you were resisting, and I'm like, just allow it to just be.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you allowed it, all of a sudden, it became unimportant. And it eventually went away completely.
Right. We put
to the point that there was always silence. And your kids didn't show up. Nobody. It was like absolute peace, absolute quiet around you during your time, because you had created that environment. You held the space for that to actually exist.
Yeah.
Because when we believe that we can't meditate, we'll start bringing in all the reasons why we can't, so that we can be right.
Yeah.
Because remember, our minds always want to be right. So we'll create the environment to say, see, I can't meditate. So if you're convinced you cannot meditate, you'll attract, even if you're doing it at a subconscious level, at an imprint level, at a DNA level, you'll bring in all of the reasons why you are right about not being able to meditate. And because I know that, I was able to create a system that addresses that before it even happens, so that when it happens, it becomes a non-issue and it just goes away.
Yes.
Well, because
And then
it
the
seems
mind is
weird.
like,
It's like
right.
everything's going to hell, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'm down in my happy place.
And pretty soon, it's
In
like
my room.
it's just gone. It's just all
Yes.
gone. Yeah.
Mhm. But I relate to Stacia. I was like, I call it like Grand Central Station here sometimes. So I'm like, I'm convinced I could meditate in Grand Central Station.
Right?
Well,
No
that's the
problem.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Because one thing is to do it in an ashram or in a meditation center or in a very quiet and peaceful place. But what's, how many times in our lives do we have that every day? How
Mhm.
many people like live in an ashram? We live in a life that is fast paced. People are talking, dogs are barking, cars are going by. We live in cities where there's traffic, where there's things, where there's life happening, a lot of it. And the ability to be able to hold the space of peace and quiet within you and hold what I call the eye of the hurricane, still and steady and strong, is what's going to create so much magic in your life.
Because we could use a little meditation. We're coming off of that full moon we just had in Aquarius from last week, and every week there's something. And on 8/8, which is Tuesday, we have that Lionsgate portal you're probably going to see people talking about, which is just really it's not an astrological event. It's just our perspective from Earth, where it looks as though the Sirius, big star Sirius, the Earth, and the Orion constellation are all in alignment. And I just see that as a window of opportunity to make magic within yourself.
Right.
But we have a last quarter moon coming in Taurus also on that same day. And anytime there's a last quarter moon or first quarter moon, it's just an awkward energy. It is a squaring energy with the sun and the moon. And the sun is kind of like our self-image, our ego, where the moon is our feelings and our emotions. So we're having this little battle going on. And Taurus is a very practical, pragmatic energy, and it kind of governs our home and our body, our nutrition, and the things that we find comfort in. So we might have some things come up where we're really looking to let go of maybe some things that aren't feeling good for us, so that we can move into the new moon coming up within the next week with this renewed energy, this renewed space to really call in the intentions that we're desiring. So one of the suggestions for any time there's any, energies that are not getting along is meditation. And I really feel, meditation, contemplation, whatever feels good for you, movement, whether that's yoga or exercise or just simply breathing, it really gives us this opportunity to really tap into ourselves and understand what it is that we're needing. So I feel like that's really going to help us, move through any energy that maybe might not feel good, because we also have some challenging aspects coming up where there could be people really challenging you, and it's going to be up to us to avoid making rash decisions, thinking before we act, and just being careful, because there's always this chance when anything's retrograding that accidents can occur, because we have a lot of extra thoughts, I guess would be a good way to put that. Extra energy is around, so we have these extra thoughts, and we would just really want to be careful. So that is really all I'm going to say about the astrology for next week. It's going to be wonderful, and I really feel like if anything is coming up, whether it's from the full moon that we had last week or coming into this hard angle with the sun and the moon this week, really just taking that time to tap into you to feel what it is that you're needing, so that we can move through and just enjoy a wonderful new moon coming up in Leo.
I love
Excited.
new moon. Yay. Oh, I love your forecast. Thank you.
Oh,
Let me
Just take
just,
a deep
yes.
breath and in through your nose and let it all out through your mouth. A big sigh, just like, you know, when you were young and you had that first love and you were in class and you're looking out the window and just thinking of that person, and then you let out a big sigh, just like that. Just breathe in
Yeah.
and then let it out. And how good that feels. Now allow your energy to go down into the center of the earth, or perhaps into the crystalline grid of the earth, and just anchor itself into the crystals beneath the earth. Beautiful. And allow your energy to calm itself down. And just feel how it's getting a little bit heavier, and you bring yourself into your body. Take another deep breath and let it all out. Notice if you're holding any tension in your shoulders, perhaps your throat, your chest, your power center, right in your solar plexus, your stomach, your hips. And let it all go. And now imagine that your brain is a muscle. So now imagine that you're closing your fist and your brain is all tight up, and just connect your brain to your fist. Tighten up your fist really tight, 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 and see how tight your brain is. And then open your hand. And as you do, allow your brain to just feel it expanding in your skull. Feel it relaxing. Allowing yourself to let go of any tightness, any kind of squishing of the brain. Now feeling your body, the edges of your body from the inside out, and feeling that opening. Now connect to your physical heart and start feeling all of the love that comes pouring out of your heart. And just fill your body up, all that spaciousness that you've just created by feeling the edges of your body from the inside out. Feel the love just filling you up and filling you up and filling you up. Take one last cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Wiggle your toes and bring yourself back.
would you like a quote of the day? I found this gentleman named Amat Ray. I don't know if you've heard of him, Hannah, but he is from
Is this another
India.
1800s?
No, he was
Okay.
actually born in 1960. He's
Okay.
just an enlightened spiritual master over there in some yoga practices.
Okay.
But he said, meditation is a way for nourishing and blossoming the divinity within you. And I thought that was just such a beautiful way to put it,
That
because
is
ultimately that is
beautiful.
what we're doing. You know, we're tapping into this magic of who we are, and we're exploring it. And regardless of what you call it, you know, we've all got this life force coming from somewhere. And I really, truly believe that it connects all of us, especially right here in the heart. So I just thought that was just
So namaste.
Yeah, namaste.
Or as the Maya would say, in la Quech alakin, which is I am you and you are me.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
I have
too.
to write that one down. Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
I gotta listen to it again. Oh, thank you, Hannah, for sharing that with everybody. We're gonna have more on meditation. You'll have more actual like experiences with Hannah when she's reunited with Harry. You'll get the sound healing.
Oh my gosh, I miss Harry so
I
much.
know, we
You
all
know,
miss
my
Harry.
boyfriend.
Your
So
boyfriend.
excited to get it back.
So stay tuned for that, but we wanted to definitely introduce you to like Hannah's version of meditation. The only way to meditate.
That's right.
So
Best,
thank
the
you.
best way to meditate.
Yeah, the best way. If you have questions, let us know. Make sure you comment, like if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, all the things, and we will see everybody on our next episode. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Recoding.